Praise be to God, children. Good morning. So, today we are moving on to the second part of your 9th chapter, that is Kerala Latin Church and its educational and cultural renaissance. So, as the name suggests, in this chapter you are learning about the upliftment of education by Kerala Latin Church. As a part of that, in the previous class, you learned about Malayalam language and Latin Church. What a role the foreign missionaries play in giving up certain books in Malayalam itself. You learned about Paulus Padri, who contributed significantly to Malayalam literature even though they were not even Indians. Then you also saw about certain name of the books like Athmavinte Jeevacharitam, Sanmarga Shastra Sangraham, Keralathile Sashya Sastram. All these were the books written during this time. Then also you saw about printing press, which was the first printing press, how many pages were printed, in which language it was printed first, and what a role the Latin Church has played in that. Not only Latin but in Syriac language also a lot of books were printed during 1602. All these things you saw in the previous class. Actually, in your textbook, this was the last part of the chapter. Now moving to the earlier parts, today we are going to deal with the schools and colleges that the Latin Church or the Latin missionaries had built. So it was built by Latin missionaries, right? So was it only for Latin Catholic students or is it only for Christians? No idea, right? Let's see. We see around us schools with excellent infrastructure imparting world-class education. When the missionaries arrived from Europe to spread the good news, the above facilities were absent. See, when European missionaries had come here, the good news means to proclaim the kingdom of God. That is to proclaim the gospel. When they came here, we didn't have such infrastructure and such schools. In earlier days, lower caste people were deprived of good education. Education was the prerogative of higher class people. You know about the caste system that existed in Kerala years ago, right? During that time, women were not allowed to study, girls were not educated, they were not allowed to get educated. Only the upper class people, like the certain caste, only they were allowed to study, the others were slaves. So when the ordinary and lower caste people were in the darkness of illiteracy, the missionaries came to Kerala to lighten their minds with knowledge. See, what did they do? They came here to light up the young minds. When I am talking here, I too studied in a prestigious school, now studying in a prestigious college. You too, each one of you who are hearing me, are also studying in a prestigious school here, right? See, but during that time, lots and lots of people didn't have this opportunity. Very few had that. Church and church schools. Archbishop Bernardini Beccanelli, through a pastoral letter, asked the churches to begin schools attached to churches to give good education to the people. See, this was the first step. What did the Archbishop Bernardini Beccanelli did? He asked the people to build up a school nearby the church so that everyone would get good education. The church schools originated. This is how the church schools originated. In Malayalam, if you have seen older movies, you might know. Or if you have grandparents or great-grandparents, they will be saying school or Pallikudangal. Palli means it's church, and Kudangal, what they meant is like school, church schools. Because the schools were first attached with churches. Till now we have certain schools like that. Right? The schools associated with the church. Along with primary education in church schools, with the help of the Portuguese, westernized modern education also was introduced by the Latin missionaries. See, As a first step, the Archbishop asked through a pastoral letter to build up schools near associated with churches, and they came to be known as church schools. And then when the Portuguese missionaries saw this, they were more modernized and westernized, right? So they asked them to make it more westernized and modernized, and they even introduced modern education here. That is how, if you ask your grandparents, they might know they are well educated. They know the one who just studied in Kerala knows to speak English. How? They didn't have a special coaching or something. But during that time, during that rulers, they had modern education. The seeds of universal education are sown in Kerala by the Latin Church. See, that's a nice sentence, right? The seeds of universal education, not simple education. We are talking about a time where there were no education at all, when Kerala was under illiteracy. At that time, the seeds of universal education were sown in Kerala by the Latin Church. That is important. We are learning about the Latin Church and educational renaissance. So, here, the seeds of universal education were sown in Kerala by the Latin Church. Now, educational revolution in Kochi. See, now we are going to learn about certain schools and colleges that were built up by the Latin missionaries in certain places in Kerala. So, first we are talking about Kochi. In 1511, the Portuguese established the first European school in Asia at Kochi. See, the first European school in Asia at Kochi. So, the first European school in Asia was built up in Kochi. That too in 1511. Irrespective of caste and religion, boys and girls were admitted in the school. This is important. Irrespective of the caste and religion, during that time the caste system was at the peak during that time. If you have seen certain movies itself, you will understand how difficult, or you might have studied in history, how difficult it was to cope with those caste systems. But during that time, our Latin Church, irrespective of caste, religion and gender, even the girl students were admitted in this school during that time. Education was imparted by teachers from Latin Catholic community. They followed universal education system. Public education, mathematics and catechism were taught. This institution was known as the College of Mother of God. So what was the name of that institution which was set up? It was the College of Mother of God. That's important. In 1552, the Jesuit missionaries founded St. Paul's College in Kochi. Again, another college. In 1552, the best library in Asia was established at this college. See, everything we are talking about Asia, not about India or not about Kerala. We are talking about Asia. The best library in Asia was established at this college. Which college? St. Paul's College in Kochi. That's important. In 1541, Vincent Lagos, a Franciscan missionary, began St. James College at Kodungalur. So, in Kochi, we learned about 3 institutions. First one, the College of Mother of God. Then, second one in 1552, St. Paul's College, which had best library in Asia during that time. Then, in 1541, Vincent Lagos, who was a Franciscan missionary, began a college named St. James College at Kodungalur. So, I am again repeating the question that I asked you earlier. Was this only for Latin Catholics? See, here we said that the teachers were from Latin Catholic community. Was that because of any casteism? No, it was not because of that. But during that time, the Latin missionaries are the one who started this, right? So they had access only to Latin Catholic people or Latin Catholic teachers. That is why they appointed Latin Catholic teachers. Nothing more, nothing less. And also, it was open to each and every student. We learned that irrespective of caste and religion. Not only Latin Catholics, not only Christians, not only Hindus, no one, anyone, irrespective of this, can join the schools. Now, school at Vipinfort. In 1577, the Jesuits established a school at Vipinfort in Pallipuram. It's a place, okay. Latin, Syrian and Malayalam languages and humanities subjects were taught here. Later on, this school was shifted to Kodungalur and then to Chennamangalam. So in 1577, in Vipinfort, a school was established. Here, Syrian, Latin, Malayalam languages and humanities were taught. And later it was shifted to Kodungalur, then to Chennamangalam. St. Francis Xavier was also a good educationist. See, in different chapter we learned about St. Francis Xavier, right? What all things he had done in Kerala. Continuing his educational work, the Jesuits worked for the educational growth of Latin Catholics of Kerala. As a result of it, church and church schools spread in Travancore. Now, where did it happen? Where did another church school occur? It was established in Travancore. Holy Redeemer College in Kollam. In 1549, Father Nicholas Lancelot established Holy Redeemer College in Kollam. Apart from public education, the laity of South Kerala were trained in missionary work. See, not only about education but also about missionary work. Missionary work doesn't mean that just preaching about the Holy Gospel, but also doing charity works, helping others, teaching human values. All these were related to this. Okay, so Holy Redeemer College in Kollam. Now, Catholic University at Samballur. In 1662, Latin missionaries established a college at Samballur. In the Jesuit documents, this college is called Collegium Maximum. It had the quality of a Catholic university. See, it was not just a college but much more. That is why in Jesuit documents it was recorded as Collegium Maximum. It had the quality of a Catholic university. So please note, the other things were about schools and college. Now we are talking about a college which had a quality of a university. So Catholic University established at Samballur in 1662. Now, Syrian school at Kaduthuruthi. In 1605, see the dates here are shuffled, but I am going according to your textbook so that will be more easy for you. So don't get confused with these dates. Okay, see, earlier we talked about 1662 about the Catholic University. Now again we are talking about 1605. Okay, don't get confused. In 1605, Father Francis Donati, a Latin missionary, started a successful school for teaching Syriac. The Chaldaic Syrian dictionary and grammar written by him won admiration of many. These schools and printing press established in the 16th and 17th centuries contributed to the birth of a new Kerala. See, the schools that we talked about now and the printing presses that we talked about in the previous class, all these contributed to the birth of a new Kerala. Why the term new is used here? Because a place where there was no light of knowledge was lighted up fully with education. That is why it is known as New Kerala. Moreover, the introduction of Western education prepared a thirst for knowledge. From Kozhikode, Kollam and Kochi, several people completed their higher education from Coimbra University in Portugal. See, after studying from these places, they wanted to learn more because they were learning Western education too. So they wanted to go out. So many students who learned here, learned the basics from here, went outside, went to Portugal universities, and then they learned. They went to Coimbra University in Portugal and universities in Rome. Members from the royal houses of Kochi and Kozhikode also went abroad to study in these universities. See, by meaning royal houses itself, you can understand they were non-Catholics or non-Christians. Even they studied in these church schools. They had the thirst for knowledge and then they went abroad to study. So this is how Kerala became a literate state. Okay, so and this is the role that Latin Catholic Church has played. It's not a small role, right? From a place where there was no education to a place where the students had thirst to go abroad and study. And even they had opportunities to go out and study. All these things were attained by the constant work of these Latin missionaries. And as I told you earlier itself, it was all irrespective of caste, religion, or gender. So, kids, that's all for today. Hope you have understood. And in the previous class, you learned about printing press. This class, you learned about the schools and colleges. And in the next class, we will be learning about few more colleges and other higher education and some educational revolution. And then we will wind up the 9th chapter. Hope this is clear. So, be good children, be more close to Jesus, talk to Jesus, spend time with Jesus, meditate yourself, and that's it. Love all, help all. Thank you.